Vinnie, thank you so much for getting together with me today. It's always great to talk to you, and I'm here to talk a little bit about the excitement that we feel around SAP's AI and Gen AI efforts, which we're calling Business AI, because we truly believe it is built for business. So I just wanted to share a few things with you and talk a little bit about what we're seeing in the market, the level of excitement we're seeing from our customers and partners, and share some real life examples to hopefully spur some conversation and Q&A back and forth between us.
Matt, always good to see you. I know we saw each other in Orlando a couple of months ago at Sapphire. Tell the audience, your definition of consumer industries is very broad. So while you're talking, also define, your different sectors you cover. And I'm sure you have examples of AI from multiple dimensions. I'm looking forward to this. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great perspective on why we're here and why we're doing this. And really, when you take a look at the opportunity in front of SAP and truly the level of excitement, it's because of the fact that for over 50 years, the notion of industry expertise and capability has really been at the heart of SAP's journey on helping our customers really get the most out of their relationships with technology. And it really goes back to our founders. They started SAP by focusing on this concept of connecting people with processes and data to help an organization run better. And they really understood that the human element is really necessary to focus on solving real business problems. So that remains in our DNA. And it's really clear in this day and age, in a world that's changing so quickly, that that's really, really important and relevant towards this whole notion of AI and generative AI in terms of how you can help companies get the most of technology to help solve those problems. So we believe that no one is better positioned than SAP to really help drive real businesses and real business users to take advantage of what's a transformational moment. And for SAP's Business AI, we're delivering the most relevant, reliable, and responsible AI to our customers to help them harness this capability to really focus on better business outcomes. So in many ways, it's new to everybody, but in also some really core ways, it's very similar to journeys SAP has been on in the past, helping customers take advantage of technology, connect it to people, data, and processes with an eye on making sure that there's really good business outcome at the center. And my role and focus is really around what we call our consumer industries. So I'm privileged to lead SAP's focus on consumer industries globally and our customer success within those industries. And we have strategically clustered these industries together because we wanted to make sure that we understood the focus and the opportunity for innovation within each of these industries, but also more importantly, this opportunity for cross-industry collaboration. So the 6 industries we focus on are consumer products, retail, wholesale distribution, life sciences, healthcare, and agribusiness. And the concept, just to illustrate in one area, if you take a look at a medicine or a vaccine or something that's got an ingredient that comes from the ground, you could theoretically go from the source of the ingredient in the ground all the way through the value chain to the end customer, to the patient, and understand patient efficacy. And it's a really powerful opportunity for businesses to pursue adjacencies within other industries that are close to them or find inspiration from another industry to drive innovation for their own customers. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about how we can layer AI and Gen AI across that industry focus. And we're going to share some examples around customers and partners that we're working with to affect those changes in the market.
So Matt, a little nuanced question on that. Clearly from a transactional perspective, you're seeing industry networks convergence, right? So transactional systems do need to integrate across those 6 sectors. Are you seeing data and intelligence also become important across those 6? What are you seeing, or is it still too early?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and I actually think this visual can help articulate that a little bit, because the opportunity is to take these micro learnings and micro capabilities across different industries to focus on getting more insight in different areas, right? So if you take a look at the focus on driving real business outcome, you could apply something that many have thought of in one particular industry to another industry. A good example is the SAP Digital Assistant, for example, for helping companies understand the real opportunity there. So Digital Assistant for CX is all about helping to understand the right areas of product information to expose and drive real different changes in context for a particular use case. But it also helps the call center agents, the marketers, create things like personalized emails, right? Whereas in the past, they might have had a signal from a source, then they went and wrote an email. You can actually use Gen AI to help not only understand the source of the signal, but also prepare kind of the core content for that going forward. And that really applies across many different industries and use cases. And I think the one thing that's really interesting is we're seeing what I call an accelerated innovation framework here, where people get inspired by other use cases and start thinking about how they can apply those use cases to their own situation. And we're seeing a lot of creativity from that perspective. It's much like in the more traditional pre-Gen AI world, we talked about a conversation leads to another conversation, which leads to an outcome. This is really all about inspiration leading to another inspiration and another new way to apply that capability.
One of the things, pretty, as you point out, learning from another industry. I've been fascinating how the telecom roaming concept has been brought forward to EV charging, right? People, the billing of electrical vehicles, you don't want to be constrained to, hey, look, I can only do it at a certain charge point and so on. So, like you say, industry learns from each other pretty. It's a pretty fluent flow of ideas.
Absolutely, yeah, and we're seeing that capability infused in everything we do, right? So we offer this capability of business AI built in across all of our solutions and portfolio, whether it's focusing on business processes that focus on value creation through automation, recommendations, like I talked about a little bit earlier, forecasting, and the natural human and machine interaction. And the way we're doing that is we're exposing business-specific AI services via our platform, the SAP Business Technology Platform, to empower both our customers and our ecosystem in terms of having the ability to leverage that platform, to extend it for their own use case, to extend it for the application of their own particular AI, and focusing on reducing that level of integration, that level of operational complexity. And what's interesting, Vinnie, is when you take a look at some of the other capabilities that we have around things that were announced earlier in the year around SAP Build with BTP, SAP Unleash, it's really about almost the framework of participatory AI and really unlocking the power of AI and democratizing access to that data to anyone in the enterprise so that they can understand where the data is, how they can use that data to accomplish that going forward. So we've already embedded over 130 AI features in over 50 AI scenarios across all of our applications. So AI is not really new to SAP. As you know, we've been doing AI and machine learning for quite some time, embedded in some of our core solutions. It's really all about making those available, extending them out, improving the data model for our customers and prospects to help them understand the power of using technology in their specific business case. And then that also extends to our ecosystem. So you've seen our partnerships, enhanced partnerships with people like Microsoft and Google around making sure that we understand the opportunity to identify the data, get insight from that data, and then make that data actionable in the context of business AI. I think no one really does that as well as SAP does, or has the capability to use AI to have as much of an enterprise impact through the concept of business AI. One of the examples to talk about is a company called Antera Solutions, which is an amazing generational AI solution that has really advanced modeling and capabilities to focus on a very important part of the consumer products portfolio, which is a business process around revenue growth planning and revenue growth optimization. So we work with them. They have an autonomous revenue growth optimization solution that leverages and extends some of the capabilities within SAP to focus on driving revenue growth by targeting the right promotion and then integrating that directly with SAP's well-known and market-leading trade promotion solution, right? So you've got this ability to really understand, certainly in consumer products, that's a business that operates at scale with a lot of velocity and with a lot of volume. How do you take all those insights? How do you see the entire business? And then how do you create those insights into actionable capabilities? And Antera certainly has that capability, and we're also working with them on their advanced analytics capability around scenario planning and wargaming as it relates to more enhanced solutions as well. So it's a very exciting time for us around that dynamic. If you take a look a little bit further and talk about the differences between AI and Gen AI, I think this is important to talk about. So I think we're all living in a rapidly changing world, and I think that the area of Gen AI is yet another example of things that are changing incredibly fast. So Gen AI really elevates business AI to the next level by helping to combine these large language models, which exist in the market, with this enterprise data that only SAP has. And it's really important to understand the data that's within an enterprise and have that data be in the context of business so you can leverage and apply that moving forward. And our concept of generative AI with the power of business data is really all about making sure that we're applying that fine tuning and that engineering at scale with the business process context to turn that information into those results that are tailored to the business applications that our customers use every day. So we have very, very rigorous development and responsible AI review processes. I know that this is an area that's emerging very quickly, and rightly, we've got a good focus on what is the right way to do AI, what is the most responsible way to do AI in that space. So you may have shared the same excitement we did. We were the first European technology company to release our AI ethics guiding principles and establish an external AI ethics advisory panel, because we also are very well engaged with policymakers around the world. As you may know, we're a core member of the European Commission's high-level expert group on AI and providing input on forthcoming legislation such as the AI Act. But more importantly, we've enacted and are living by a global AI ethics policy that really is focused on 4 key principles of ethical AI. We believe it's focused on human agency and oversight, addressing bias and discrimination in application of the models, having transparency and explainability, and also what is the impact on society. So a lot of approaches out there just focus on the technology for technology's sake without really understanding and thinking about the focus on it. You know, it's very easy for a model to have an implicit bias, but are you actually modeling that in a way that's going to be supportive to helping the use cases that really involve the personal data? So we're seeing a lot of use cases become enriched with personal data across these industries. And it's really important when you have that focus on personal data, how it can impact some of the business decisions around automating decision-making, the ability and challenge of potentially negatively affecting individuals, and then also processing personalized data throughout the world as well.
Now,
So,
in a few
yeah.
conversations I've had with executives who are, obviously everybody in the industry is talking about AI. I've heard that the generative AI use cases they hear about are people-oriented, right? So a lot of HR profiles, chatbots, stuff like that. Somewhat simplistic. And they're like, where am I going to get the savings? I'm not getting powerful use cases. On the other hand, they go predictive, and I look at things that can be done around our expensive assets, expensive logistics. The value seems much higher. Okay? So they're not seeing enough value yet from generative AI, and they think predictive is not being emphasized enough. What are you hearing from your customers?
I think it's a mixture of both. I think people really want to understand what I'll call kind of the base use cases for AI in the predictive area, right? I think that's rightly so, kind of at the forefront of true enterprise AI and business AI. And we've got some examples of that I can share with you. But then also I think that certainly things like the Just Ask within our SAP Analytics Cloud capability is really a really impressive area of technology where we're going to see a lot of advancements and inspiration from one customer to another. And that's an area where you can ask it a natural human question. You can ask the system for what the question is, what you want to get out of it. And it actually comes back, understanding the data, it will actually come back with a visualization that best represents the way that data is structured for the best insight. So we're seeing a lot of customers really want to have an opportunity to give more people access to the system and give it to them in a way that's a natural human interaction. And you can basically then start getting down the line of questioning, right? Instead of a static report or a pre-planned report that you focus on delivering, you can actually have the users interact with that and get that perspective as well, which is really exciting. I've talked about the digital assistant for CX, really to focus on getting the insights around promotions as well as responses to those promotions. You talked about the HR scenario, right? There's very powerful scenarios where you can actually ingest resumes and actually formulate resume questions in a way that's non-biased, so you can understand and give the recruiter the opportunity to really hone in on the areas that's going to put that candidate in the best light and create that really enriched conversation around that candidate's perspective. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there. There's also a couple use cases around, just very simple use cases. I'll share with you afterwards two use cases that might be interesting for your review in case you haven't seen them yet. But ASR Group, which is one of the largest marketers and processors of refined sugar, they're using predictive to basically look 6 to 18 months out related to freight quotations, right? Because so much of their business is future oriented, being in the sugar world. Administering those contracts, really understanding in a rapidly changing world around freight, with all the dynamics around supply planning and freight costs rising. That's a really interesting use case where they found incredible value working with us in that area. And then Nature Ripe Berries, which makes and sells delicious berries, all over the world, is another example of giving people access to data at scale, to have the ability of people and process to give them more insight. And as a result of giving them access to this data, they've got the ability to do 10 more models that are really enriching their capability, and they're thinking about the business in ways they haven't done before. But I think I want to really reemphasize this focus on the challenges customers tell us, is that this collision of what they want to do with AI versus static reporting that's built to give insight and data in a different way. That's a really exciting area that we're seeing a lot of creativity and innovation. And that just ask capability is really quite exciting for us and our partners around leveraging that capability to really get at that insight in a very clear way. If I go a little bit further past these core solutions that you talked about a little bit earlier, we've got a few customer examples just to focus a little bit more on this concept of business AI. And they focus a little bit more kind of on this pre-planning, this operational aspect, this driving efficiency. But Arla Foods is a good example. They're a producer in Denmark. They've got more than 4,000 different dairy products from more than 70 different production sites, so a relatively complex business. And they were looking for a solution that could better help them understand sensing and reacting to changes faster. Changes in demand, optimizing their supply planning. They also wanted to improve customer service at the same time as decreasing inventory, and focus on taking a lot of that manual effort around forecasting and making it more automated. So we work with them around a few fronts. Certainly, we help them integrate SAP's IBP, Integrated Business Planning for supply chain, which drove a really rapid improvement in their short-term planning based on those daily sense and demand forecasts. And then we also align them with real demand patterns to focus on optimizing replenishment, making those replenishment decisions, helping them on deployment planning, production planning, as well as improving that sales forecast methodology. As a result, they're saving a lot of time. They're freeing up about 45 hours each week, focusing their planners on more higher value tasks. And they're also improving their forecast accuracy, which is a really important aspect. Another example within agribusiness is BIT SA of Argentina. BIT is revolutionizing agribusiness with Agribit, which is an SAP-powered solution in our ecosystem that's built on SAP BTP. So it's built on the SAP Business Technology Platform. It integrates both with SAP ERP and Analytics Cloud to focus on going down to the farm management. So how do people actually manage and focus on farms, to do intelligent planning, predictive monitoring, agricultural best practices, and focusing on driving increased traceability. And at the same time, they're also working with us on calculating their carbon footprint and reducing that within their customer operations. And they're actually a finalist in our SAP awards, the Innovation Awards for 2023. So you'll hear more about that going forward. If I shift over to retail, another interesting example is our work with Coughlin, which is a subsidiary of Schwartz Group. which is an amazing European grocer focused on offering a wide selection of high quality foods and everyday items at the best price. Their goals, as you might rapidly understand, are all about customer satisfaction, a high index on sustainability, and reducing food waste, which are all important to them. But they wanted to focus on driving better understanding of their demand forecasting and replenishment. And they worked to implement together with us a self-learning solution that has artificial intelligent capabilities delivered by SAP. So they worked with our unified demand forecasting engine to leverage those algorithms and machine learning. But it goes beyond just kind of a traditional view on algorithms and machine learning. It's really focused on going to the predictive area, right? So taking a larger set of influencing factors, including the way they have the shape of demand within their weekdays, the way their labor is available, their price effects, trends and seasonality, payday effects in Europe as well are driving factor around shopping patterns, and also weather. And what the solution does is it helps make educated guesses to the planners around sales of those new products based on similar items, as well as better selling of the items themselves. And what that means for them is incredibly accurate and granular forecasts, which they do from everything from stock replenishment to advertising planning. And it also takes this concept of what if scenarios. So they're ultimately planning over 32 million product location combinations and then forecasting and replenishing to those every day, which is, again, a level of scale that you don't necessarily get from other approaches in the market, right? It's this concept of having the ability to see the whole business operating at scale and then taking action on that scale in a large way as well. One more example to look at within our consumer products business is the work we've done with Villeray & Bosch around helping them produce their premium ceramics and tableware. And their focus was really on optimizing productivity by removing repetitive tasks, right? So this is an area that I don't think people think about enough in terms of robotic process automation and the intersection with AI, because there's a tremendous amount of things you can do at the process level. So whether it's with Signavio, or in this case, whether it's our intelligent robotic process automation capability, by having AI focus on what are those repetitive tasks that we can best apply machine learning to and algorithms to predict those. So in their case, they actually have developed automation bots to carry out routine low-value tasks, which helps them actually make their ERP system more intelligent by presenting different things to the different users. So they created 10 digital assistants carrying out those simple tasks around core areas like account planning, purchasing, customer service, and it actually helps them focus on operationalizing the checks of 6,000 documents, right? So in the past, a human might have to do that a little bit, or you have to rely upon a human process to do that. They actually have these intelligence bots going through and doing that, and then highlighting those exceptions to users, which is really helpful from that perspective. Another example, this comes from our wholesale distribution business, specifically within life sciences. This is all around medical distribution. So there's a company called Pharma Overseas. They're a leader around medical distribution, and they wanted to actually expand their focus on growth and looking at the forecasting process in specific around how they can understand their market better, how they can understand their individual customer interactions better, and how they can grow as a result. So they worked with us to implement AI through conversational chatbots that can really understand customer requests and also think about pre-planning and pre-populating those customer orders within their order management capability to focus on putting those orders directly in the system already. And as a result, their forecasted sales growth of 20% through these targeted promotions, as well as achieving 30% operational savings over 3 years. And the focus there is really on how can you leverage AI capability to look at an existing process and make that existing process better, at the same time as using that improvement to better serve your customers. And that's a really good example of applying very basic AI capability through the use of something that many have not thought about before, but focusing on better predicting and interacting with those order capabilities. And we're doing a lot of similar things around looking forward in specifically life sciences. So we're also doing a lot of work with drug discovery capabilities to help understand what are the new capabilities for drug discovery in the future. How does that then flow out through clinical trials? I think you're aware of some of the things we're doing around intelligent clinical supply management around clinical trials, which is an area we've all found to be very important going forward. So a lot of great capability there that can be harnessed very quickly. I want to share one more example with you, Vinnie, which is around City Beach. So there's a customer called City Beach in Australia, and they're an amazing youth fashion retailer, and they focused on wanting to strengthen their customer relationships, make that bond even more strong with their customer, avoid customer churn, and also drive repeat and more loyal purchases. And they really needed help achieving that scale. So they wanted to focus on what they could do together with SAP to make that interaction individually with these customers more powerful, and then how could they scale that going forward. So they worked with one of our solutions in the customer experience space called Amarsis, and they focused on driving more scalable marketing execution with this personalization to automate their key campaigns, and focusing on how do they better use AI to predict this intersection of their loyalty program, their POS experience with their customers, and also their related customer service touch points to really understand their channel performance across all the channels that they sold in, and focusing on driving that true one-to-one customer experience. And they used a solution that's called Amarsis Max AI to shift to from a static marketing approach to a predictive marketing approach. And as a result, they've achieved 18% growth in lead conversion into first-time buyers by leveraging Amarsis AI. And they also saw a 40% growth in win-back rate from previous customers that had been defecting using AI. So a lot of capacity when you just think about applying AI to a particular scenario that you're trying to accomplish and change. So I'm looking forward to your comments, Vinnie, on the overall component. But I think that the focus that we've had around AI is really appropriate for the market in terms of three core areas, right? It's built in. We've had this capacity for understanding this intersection of data, process, and people at the industry level for over 50 years. So our approach to AI is to make sure that AI is built into all of those solutions that we have. So we're leveraging and extending that capacity. It's also relevant, right? We want to make sure it's driving the right industry insight and capability within those processes so that people can actually use it in their daily life. I talked earlier about kind of the democratization of data, making sure everybody can interact with the data and accomplish what they need to. I think the Just Ask is a great example of that. At power and scale. And also it's responsible, right? So it's built with ethics in mind and focusing on helping to drive our customer journeys forward together.
You know, I love the Just Ask concept, not so much from a HR or even customer facing perspective. More, you have so much operational data, right? That the use cases I'm seeing from the industry are a little too focused on the back office stuff. And if you can bring the power of operational systems to better query, to better prompts and so on to the average user, that would be a revolution. So that, you know, to me, that is where SAP's big opportunity is going to be, is, you know, you've got so many operational areas in financial services and manufacturing and energy and so on. That I think is your big opportunity going forward.
Absolutely. You know, it's all about making sure that, again, it's within the context of business, right? So you're getting that operational data, and then you're leveraging that data in new ways to then go and execute and make an impact, right? To have that business outcome. I agree with you that what we're seeing from others in the market is overly simplistic. And not much high value, but this intersection of SAP's vast industry experience, the richness of the data that we're privileged to operate on behalf of our customers, and the ability then to take that data, maybe marry it with new sources of data, and then have the ability to make sense of that and present that in a way that's contextualized for that business user's question, for the role that business user has, and the ability then to give them the insight and the confidence to make a decision to execute upon it differently. It's pretty exciting, and that's why we're seeing a lot of rich relationships, both within our customers, but also with our ecosystem of partners. So we've had a pretty large expansion of our partner ecosystem, specifically around how can they leverage our platform, our BTP components and solutions to make their systems and processes better, have better integration to SAP, and then have them delivering great insights, whether it's an Intera or many of the other hundreds of partners that we have in this spaces as well. It's an exciting time for us all.
Yeah, and the responsible term is being thrown, ethical, the responsible has been thrown around. I worry the industry hasn't yet fessed up to how little data they actually have access to. The machines don't have it. A lot of it is locked up in customer proprietary data centers, right? So I think the industry is exaggerating a little bit how much it really has access to permissions and GDPR compliance and all that. So it'll all shake out in the next couple of years. But I'm glad you're talking about responsible. I don't think the industry is being responsible in promising access to a lot of data. So
I would agree with you. Yeah, absolutely. We're excited about that. It's something we're proud of. I think we've always tried to do the right thing in many different situations, right? So I think this is yet another example of us leading the market around the need to think about these things for the long-term impact and the betterment of the world, right? So it gets back to SAP's global value statement, which is to help improve the world and make the world run better by improving people's lives. So I think it's something we take seriously, and this is just another example of that manifesting itself.
That's so a question, the caution, what are you hearing from customers in terms of caution? So I hear that they're worried about ChatGPT sucking up the world's data and their data being available to competitors and so on. I hear about not enough audit trail information, so the hallucinations and so on. What are you hearing in terms of caution?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think that certainly customers that use SAP know that those are areas that are very, very tightly controlled in terms of access. I don't think they're as concerned about their data being exported or being leveraged in different ways that they don't control. But I think the caution we're finding is customers want to make sure they understand there's no shortage of use cases and there's no shortage of ideas, but customers, I think, are trying to understand how culturally they can accomplish this concept of AI and get their people excited about AI, and then actually have this process internally about learning AI so that not every conversation is starting over from scratch. So there's some companies that are better at that culturally than others in terms of innovation and adoption and just being able to ask questions internally. So a lot of the questions that customers have are around how they can learn from us in terms of our experience helping lead some of the world's great companies to these solutions. What can they learn from us around tips, cultural tips, pointers, ways to affect change internally? And they're counting on us to help give them the frameworks from which they should do that, right? So not every company can figure out their own version of what responsible AI is. So they're looking for leadership from SAP to help them understand how they can best apply technology in a responsible way.
Matt, this is great. Thank you so much. Let's come back in 6 months with some really tangible results you're seeing.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it, Vinnie. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Great to connect up with you again.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for putting this together.